Hello, good afternoon. For those who have never caught me live before, my name is Jewel. I'm a grateful recovering addict of 8 years. I go live with my brother-in-law, Joe, who recently celebrated 18 months sober. We try to go every day and read the gist for today. Life is busy, so we don't always make it every day, but we try to get as many in as we can. And as soon as he gets on here, we'll get started. Just waiting for him now. Hey Jamie, hey Tiffany, hey Sandra, how are you ladies? Just waiting on Joe. Waiting on him to get on and we'll get started. What have you ladies been up to? I feel like we've missed almost the whole week. I know I went the other day, but Joe didn't get on. We had issues getting him on camera, so hopefully today that's not the case. Hey Lacey. Just waiting on Joe. Tell him I'm on, so hopefully he'll follow suit and get on with me. For those who aren't familiar, I'm going to read from the gist for today. It is a daily meditation for recovering addicts. Hi, Miss Dawn. How are you? I hope you're going to get to come home soon. Thank you, Sandra. There's Joe. It says it's adding you. There you are.
What's up, y'all?
So I was just telling everybody we were going to read from the gist for today.
Been a minute.
It has been.
Sorry, y'all.
Well, and that's what I said, life is busy for both of us and things have been picking up for the both of us. So it's hard for us to get on a schedule, to get together, I feel like. So I'm going to start with just for today. Just for today, my thoughts will be on my recovery, living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. Just for today, I will have faith in someone in NA who believes in me and wants to help me in my recovery. Just for today, I will have a program. I will try to follow it to the best of my ability. Just for today, through NA, I will try to get a better perspective of my life. Just for today, I will be unafraid. My thoughts will be on my new associations, people who are not using and who have found a new way of life. So long as I follow that way, I have nothing to fear. Hey, ladies, how are you? So today is the 24th of January. When was the last time we went live together, Joe? Was that Monday?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Or Tuesday? Well, because I missed some, and some of them are good ones, so I might go back. I might read this one and then go back. So
yeah, I was feeling better a while ago. I was only sick for like 24 hours, but
yeah.
After that, I was really busy, and then I went to do live the other day, and we ran out of data, so we had to bump our plan up to unlimited.
I know. I asked her why you didn't have that. I mean, it's silly if your plan.
We did.
Yeah, that's what she said.
We did before, but she cut it back, and then she changed her mind and put it on unlimited again.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's best. Especially for you, because I know that you do a lot of YouTube and podcasting, you listen to all that stuff, so it only makes sense. Let's see. Welcome everybody. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Let me just say this real quick. Your wife is over here sending me videos. I'm gonna tell her we're live though, so she can share it out. Because she usually shares to all the groups for us. Okay, so I'm reading from the gist for today for those who are just getting on. January 24th, from isolation to connection. Our disease isolated us. Hostile, resentful, self-centered, and self-seeking. We cut ourselves off from the outside world. Basic text, page 4. Addiction is an isolating disease, closing us off from society, family, and self. We hide, we lied, we scorned the lives we saw others living, surely beyond our grasp. Worst of all, we told ourselves there was nothing wrong with us, even though we knew we were desperately ill. Our connection with the world and with reality itself was severed. Our lives lost meaning, and we withdrew further and further from reality. The NA program is designed especially for people like us. It helps reconnect us to the life we were meant to live, drawing us out of our isolation. We stop lying to ourselves about our condition. We admit our powerlessness and the unmanageability of our lives. We develop faith that our lives can improve, that recovery is possible, and that happiness is not permanently beyond our grasp. We get honest. We stop hiding. We show up and tell the truth, no matter what. And as we do, we establish the ties that connect our individual lives to the larger life around us. We addicts need not live lives of isolation. The 12 steps can restore our connection to life and living if we work them. Just for today, I am part of the life around me. I will practice my program to strengthen my connection to my world. Let's see. Okay, Danielle. Whether it's 10 years, 10 days, or 10 hours clean, clean time is clean time, and all of you should be proud of your time. Every day is a new day and a fresh start. Absolutely. Shabba, you just missed the reading. Just for today, I am part of the life around me. I will practice my program to strengthen my connection to my world. And I really like how it says about connection, because I read something one time that said that the cure to addiction is through connection, because so often we isolate ourselves and so often we disconnect from everybody in our lives, even our family, our friends, everybody. And having that connection with another human being is what helps us stay clean, is what helps us bring us in. I mean, really, it's the whole reason we do these videos, because if we can connect with you and we can share our story with you and our strength and our hope, then you'll understand. You know, if we're transparent, if we're honest, and we tell our stories and our whole life, you know, not our whole lives, but you get what I'm saying. When you can relate to us, you connect with us. And when you connect with us, you come out of isolation. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I'll have 19 months alcohol free, 6 days away. So
Yes, Shabba.
for me, this one is kind of, to me, this one's kind of like personal for me, because towards the end of my drinking, for like the last maybe 2 years, I became, I guess, like a solo act.
Yeah.
And I became a loner, and I would isolate myself from people because I didn't want to feel judged.
Right.
I didn't want anybody fucking up my buzz.
Right.
And I didn't want anybody to be victimized to
Right.
it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want people to fall victim to the person I would become when I drank, and the mentality I would start to get. So towards the end, I kind of stayed to myself. Like, I would drink, you know, I go get my 2 18 packs, and I would just sit by myself and drink my beers by myself.
Yeah.
And you know, most people act, you know, they say it's boring, and you know, in the beginning, I would have never did that, but in the end, I started doing it more and more. I became more of a by myself type of drinker. I would just, you know, get my beer, go home, and listen to music. And for whatever reason, I would always clean when I was drinking, and I would just kind of just, I don't know, just zone out. And then I just end up going and sitting on the porch or the balcony or wherever I was, and just drinking beer, and until I would get tired or I would pass out. So, I mean, and that's not really healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, normal people don't do that shit.
Right.
Normal people don't buy, you know, 36 beers and sit in the house and drink them all by themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's not something that a regular person you would see doing, you know?
I want to.
Most people, you know, they have.
Hold on. I have a quick question. Can you hear the rain? Because it's like downpouring on me right now. Can you hear the rain over me?
I mean, no, I can hear your voice, but
Okay.
I'm getting rained on too. So
Okay. Well, I just didn't know if other viewers, if okay, good. Shira said she can't hear the rain. Okay, good.
I can't hear it on your end. I can only hear it myself where I'm at.
Okay. I just wanted to double check.
so yeah, so it became like drinking became kind of depressing. You know what I mean? It was like I enjoyed it, but for me, it was like I don't know, like towards the end when I would drink, it was like a relief to me. You know, it
Yeah.
was like to me it was relieving to just be able to sit by myself and drink with nobody around because I didn't feel like I was gonna do anything wrong or nobody was gonna be mad at me for doing it.
Right.
Um, so it made me feel I don't know, it was like it was almost like you replace your friends with alcohol, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
that's that's kind of what I started to do. I mean, I'm a loner type person anyway, but um, I became more that way when I started, the more I drank because um I would either like if when I drank with my friends, I would either start shit with people or
Yeah.
I would end up making a fool of myself. And I started getting the mentality that if I'm sitting in my house by myself, there's nobody to see me act stupid and there's nobody that I can hurt when I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's kind of how that's kind of how it became. And once you get sober, you start to realize, all the shit you missed out on and um, all the relationships that you damaged that all these people that were, so important to your life
Yeah.
and now you're getting to enjoy it and you realize like this is so much better
Yeah.
than sitting in the house by myself, drinking beer
Yeah.
until I pass out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, so for me, I really every day to me is a good day because I can wake up knowing that I didn't do nothing wrong the day before.
Yeah.
I can ride by a police officer and not,
Yeah.
not be paranoid
Yeah.
as
Like checking
much.
in the mirror and shit.
Um,
Yeah.
because when you drink, I mean, I don't know how some people are, but the way I grew up, um, drinking adds to, my criminal activities. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like when I drink, I do more shit than I would if I was sober. I don't
Right.
because I don't think.
Right.
Not to say I wouldn't do some of the same things, but I don't put a lot of thought into the choices that I make when I'm drinking. I don't make good decisions.
Right.
Um, there's been a lot of times when I drank where I put myself in harm's way and I put others in harm's way and I put myself in a bad situation um, just because of that.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people that have drama all the fucking time. And it's like a lot of those people that always have drama, they're either doing drugs or they're drinking all the time.
Yeah.
And being outside looking in now, it's like I don't miss that shit, man. I don't
Mhm.
miss
None of it.
being caught up in being caught up in petty shit. And um now if some shit was to come my way, I also feel like I'm better equipped to handle it because I'm thinking clearly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm on my shit instead of being,
Because you're
half assed and making
thinking,
bad decisions.
because you're thinking, not the alcohol. You know what I mean?
Right. And I've told you guys the stories before about how, um, after long term drinking, I started to develop, this I don't give a fuck mentality. And um, I kind of always had that, but the more I drank, the darker it got. The more I didn't care about what anybody thought. The more I didn't care about what I did to people or
Right.
how I talked to people. The more I didn't care about how I treated people, and the more I started to like it. To the point where, when I was sober, I was still being that type of person.
Right.
Whether I was drunk or sober, because the alcohol, after a while, the alcohol starts to damage your brain. It starts to um, change the way you function, change the way you think. I mean, there's been days where I go on a drinking binge and I sober up and I'm still foggy for like 2, 3, 4 days after that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
still really confused. My memories come in and out about, what I've been doing or what I did 10 minutes ago. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've had family members die from that where, the liver wasn't filtering the alcohol anymore and it was going straight to their brain. And
That's how my
I
brother's mom died because of alcoholism, because of her liver and her kidneys
so
and stuff.
and it really messes with your brain. It really messes with the way you look at things, the way you think, the way you function.
Yeah.
And also too, on top of that, like I said, you start to create so much negativity that you start to feed it.
Hmm.
You know, even when you're not drinking, when you're sober, you start to feed that bad side of you. You start to feed it, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where now that's who you are, and it's affecting your life every day, whether you drink or you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of, you know, I feel relieved that I don't have to be like that, or you know, that I'm not that type of person, because deep down I feel like, you know, I'm a pretty good person deep down inside, but um when you're drinking or you're using drugs all the time, you're not yourself.
Right.
Um there's a part of you that's there, but you're
It's covered
all
up
your
by
bad
everything
shit.
else. Yeah, it's covered up by
Yeah,
everything else.
all your bad qualities get magnified. You know what I'm saying? And you start to create new ones that weren't there before, and before you know it, you know, you're more of a bad person than you are a good person.
That's why I get so mad when people talk so badly and so negative about addicts, because when they're in active addiction, because there's a good person inside of there. You can't see any of that because of their active addiction. But everybody, it's like I go back and say, everybody, one, belongs to somebody. Okay. Everybody is someone's child, first off. We've said that a million times. Second off, none of us as children decided, you know what, I'm going to grow up and be a drug addict. Like, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And so I get really like defensive and really worked up when people speak so ill about people in active addiction, because they need help. Point blank, period. They need help. They don't know where to go, or they're so fogged up and so confused, they don't know which way to go. They don't know who to reach out to. They don't know who they can trust. They don't know who they can't trust, They don't know who they can tell their secrets to. And I think that was a really, really, really important piece for your mom, because she could actually be herself. She could tell the wreckage of her past, and nobody would judge her for that. She had finally found that piece that she needed. Yeah, your alter ego, basically. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I want to read the ones we missed too, Joe, because they're pretty good. So do you have any more to say about that one?
Yeah, I just wanted to say too. I don't know if it's the same. I'm sure. I mean, I'm kind of jumping the gun and making assumptions, but as far as ego is concerned, this might not apply to women. This might be more for men, you know, specifically. But and it might just be me, or it might just be alcoholics. It might not be for drug addicts. But to me, it's like I had a hard time coping with, you know, who I had to be when I got sober in the beginning, because I felt I felt like I'm being kept. You know, I felt like I was being caged in, and I wasn't free to just do whatever the fuck I felt like
You
doing.
felt like you were being put in
And
a box?
yeah, and I felt like I felt like a bitch in a way, because I felt like I wanted to
You
act
still
on
gotta
all
do
those
those
things.
things. Go ahead.
I wanted to I wanted to do those things, and when I drank, like I said, I didn't care about the choices that I made, and I was more just spontaneous in the things I would do and say, and it was hard for me to break away from the lifestyle more than it was just drinking.
Yeah.
Drinking was just a small piece. Um, it was everything else that came along with that mentality. You know what I mean? And I just kind of felt, yeah, like you said, I felt naked. I felt like I was, you know, exposed in a way. Like I wasn't really being myself. I had a hard time bouncing back and forth with, like, am I really being me now, or am I not being me? Like, it
Yeah.
was confusing because I drank for so long, and I lived that lifestyle for such a long time that it was hard for me to um put down the lifestyle more than it was for me to just put down the bottle. So for a lot of people, um I feel like that's the biggest crossroads you're going to come to, is, you know, dropping that ego and convincing yourself the truth. And the truth is, you're a lesser of a person when you're drinking and you're doing drugs. You're more of a man when you can put something harmful to the side and step up
Yeah.
and take life head on and handle your responsibilities, because I don't care who you are. You're not giving your life or your family 110% if you're drinking and doing drugs. It's just a fact.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I had a friend of mine reach out to me a couple days ago, and she said that she'd been talking to this guy. They had been friends for a long time, and he just got out of prison, and that he was in prison for 4 years, and he was clean when he was in prison. And she said that he, was honest with her and told her a couple days ago, that he was having urges to use again. And I said to her, I gave her your Facebook profile and stuff so that he could reach out to you. And I said to her, because first off, we don't mix men and women when it comes to recovery, generally speaking. That's not how it goes. But for two, he's not going to want me to tell him how he should live his life. He's not going to listen to me because I'm a woman. I'm not a man. And I feel like when it comes to men specifically, they have a lot of a harder time of asking for help. And she said to me when she was trying to talk to him about, our lives and, that he could reach out to you, his instant reaction was, I don't need help. I've got this all figured out. And well, there's a man for you. I mean, not to be funny, but that's how men are. You guys are different than women. You're built differently. Your thinking is differently. That's no secret. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, and I sent her an invite to watch this video because, I just feel like just what you said, it's hard for men, especially, and I'm not saying it's not hard for women. For me, it really wasn't that hard, but I know that for men, it can be a lot harder because of, men aren't supposed to be weak. They're not supposed to show a sign of weakness. They're not allowed to cry. They're not allowed to be emotional. They're not allowed to ask for help. All these stigmas that we put on men, it's unfair. I mean, and then it's just, how life is for you guys. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Yeah.
To me, I think, you're more of a man when you can put your ego aside and you can do what's right for a change instead of doing what your first instinct is.
Yeah. Well, I told her because she
And
messaged me last night and said that some other things were going on, and by the sounds of the other things, if he hasn't already relapsed, he's not far from it. So, but she was thankful for the information I gave her and, trying to help her and give my insight to it. And I was really thankful because she's not in recovery. And she said to me, ordinarily I wouldn't even consider helping someone, or even being with someone in recovery. She said, but because of our live videos, she's seen a different perspective of it. And so I was really glad that she said that because I feel like, a lot of times people in recovery were judged by others who have never walked this life. They don't have any idea what it's like. They don't have any idea why it happens. All they know is they didn't use drugs, and so you did. So,
well, for drinking, for a lot of people who are alcoholics, I mean, I don't know about drug addicts, but if I just quit drinking and didn't say anything or didn't make these videos with you or nothing like that, nobody would probably know or care. And nobody probably even really cared that I was an alcoholic or thought twice about it because it's so common.
right.
It's not like people might not even have saw me as an alcoholic. They're just like, Joe likes to get fucked up.
Yeah. I didn't see it. When I first started hanging around you guys, I didn't see the problem. For years, I didn't see the problem. I didn't really see the problem, I think, until it got close to for Russell to be here. So,
yeah, because when you're just living your life and it's not, you don't have any person especially to be responsible for. It's like sometimes he's funny, sometimes he's cool, sometimes he's aggressive, sometimes he's an asshole, and it just is what it is. It's not a big deal.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you see me acting that way around a child, then it's like, I don't really trust this person
Yeah.
to make the best choices, and it becomes more of a reality. Like if he gets out of control, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, and I think that you had gotten to a point too, like I don't know that you and I were necessarily arguing, but like you and Josh would argue or you and Bobby would argue, and I was like, what are you two even fighting about? Like, you know what I mean? So,
To fight all the time.
what?
Me and Josh used to fight all the time.
Yeah.
Every time we got in a fight, it was always because I was drunk and I was talking shit.
Yeah.
And I'd either just
Do you remember?
hit him or he hit me or whatever.
Do you remember spitting on our car when we left Ocean City?
Nah.
I don't even remember like what all that transpired to, but I remember when we were leaving. And I didn't even realize that you had spit on the car. And when we got to the gas station, Josh was like, man, this motherfucker spit on the top of our car. Phew. That was funny. Okay, so I'm gonna read this other one, and then I'm gonna try to read this last one, but I don't want to be on forever. Serenity check. This was yesterday's just for today. Lack of daily maintenance can show up in many ways. Basic text, page 95. Ever had a perfect stranger remark about how great the weather was, only to reply, it stinks? When this happens, we are probably suffering from a lack of daily maintenance in our program. In recovery, life can get pretty hectic. Maybe those added responsibilities at work have got you hopping. Maybe you haven't been to a meeting for a while. Perhaps you've been too busy to meditate or haven't been eating regularly or sleeping well. Whatever the reason, your serenity is slipping. When this happens, it is crucial that we take action. We can't afford to let one bad day, complete with a bad attitude, slip into 2 days, 4 days, or a week. Our recovery depends on our daily maintenance program. No matter what is happening in our lives, we can't afford to neglect the principles that have saved our lives. There are many ways to recover our serenity. We can go to a meeting, phone our sponsor, meet another recovering addict for lunch, or try to carry the message to a newcomer. We can pray. We can take a moment to ask ourselves what simple things we haven't been doing. When our attitudes head downhill, we can avert a crash with simple solutions. Just for today, I will examine the maintenance of my daily program of recovery. And I think it's another good one because I have days like that still, Friday, within a matter of like 5 minutes, the whole day was gone. I was over the entire day. Everything was shit. Everything was ruined. Everything was messed up. The weather was crap. The pharmacy was going to give me problems. I had to go to it just all in a matter of it, making anthills into mountains. I mean, that's exactly what I did in a matter of 5 minutes. And all it took was for me to step back and realize, you know what, it's really not that bad. Of course, your brother sent me some very nice messages that kind of helped me get out of my funk, but it was like, there was an image that I shared one time that said, was it a bad day or was it a bad 5 minutes that you milked the entire day? Don't do that. I still have to work on that because I do that from time to time.
Yeah, I used to be bad with that.
Yeah, because it's hard, especially when you're like, I just feel like, there's so much, life is so busy for everybody, whether you're in recovery or not, life is busy. And it always, it takes one little thing to throw the whole day off. And then when you come back and you re-examine it, like it really wasn't that bad. Like, yeah, it messed
Yeah,
me
and in the
up, but it wasn't the end of the world, We still had a roof over our head. We still had food in the house. We still had gas in the car, cigarettes to smoke. Our kids were healthy, you know? And a lot of times, I try to tell people when they um, get upset or they get worked up, write a simple gratitude list. That will literally change everything.
Yeah, I used to be bad with it, and I think it's because in the past, if I was having a bad day, for one, bad days became normal, so it was like
And
you
everything
didn't give a
was easy.
shit.
Yeah.
Right. And then on top of that, you know, in a day or two you're gonna get drunk. So it's like, fuck it, I don't care. I'll be getting fucked up in a couple days, so I'm not really worried about it.
Or that day,
You
right.
just
Yeah.
or later that day, right? Yeah, exactly. So um now you don't have that crutch. You don't have that thing to just blank out
Yeah.
and ignore all your problems and all your responsibilities. So I mean, yeah, it gets hard, but I try to tell people all the time that's how other people deal with their life head on, and
Right.
they don't have no problems with it. So if they can do it, so can you.
Right. And your day's always much easier to deal with when you're not high. I mean, they've always said, um, my my worst day clean always trumps my baddest day or my greatest high. I can't remember the saying, but it's something like that. Somebody on here knows that, I'm sure, and they can correct me. Um, the other one I wanted to read is the one from the 22nd. It's the School of Recovery, and then I'll be done after this. This is a program for learning. Basic text, page 16. Learning and recovery is hard work. The things we most need to know are often the hardest to learn. We study recovery to prepare ourselves for the experiences life will give us. As we listen to others share in meetings, we take mental notes we can refer to later. To be prepared, we study our notes and literature between lessons. Just as students have the opportunity to apply their knowledge during tests, so do we have the opportunity to apply our recovery during times of crisis. As always, we have a choice in how we will approach life's challenges. We can dread and avoid them as threats to our serenity, or we can gratefully accept them as opportunities for growth. By confirming the principles we've learned in recovery, life's challenges give us increased strength. Without such challenges, however, we could forget that we've learned and begin to stagnate. These are the opportunities that prod us to new spiritual awakenings. We will find that there is often a period of rest after each crisis, giving us time to get accustomed to our new skills. Once we've reflected on our experience, we are called on to share our knowledge with someone who is studying what we've just learned. In the School of Recovery, all of us are teachers as well as students. Just for today, I will be a student of recovery. I will welcome challenges, confident in what I've learned, and eager to share it with others. And I really like this because how often do we say there's always something new to be learned? So,
Well, the biggest thing is like when you're in active addiction, if you're drinking or doing drugs or whatever you're doing, I don't think you realize how much you dumb yourself down
yeah,
and how much you settle.
yeah,
And, it's like, for example, I mean, when I was drinking, I didn't give a shit what was going on as long as I could pay the rent and
yeah,
as long as I could buy my beer and buy my cigarettes. I didn't give a shit about nothing else.
right,
And when you get like, I didn't even think about buying a house until I got sober. The thought never even crossed my mind at all.
yeah,
So, I mean, and why not? If I would have handled my shit and I wouldn't have went down that bad path or that bad road, I probably would have had a house
years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah. Would have been a lot
And it's
easier to
like,
get 10 years ago, too.
yeah, and it's just like because I dumbed myself down and I was okay with just getting by
Yeah,
and surviving that, I didn't really give a shit about anything else. Like, how many shit jobs I worked and didn't care that I was working a shit job. Like I just want to get a check. I'm not really worried about it.
yeah,
Um, it's like it's like you don't really put any thought into yourself as a human being. You're just living for your next
yeah,
drunk night or your next high or whatever. And it's like,
absolutely.
you don't see it. You're blind, especially, I mean, like I said, I can't relate to the drug use, but like for alcohol, man, it's like, it's common. It's not like it's hard. It was hard for me to snap out of it and wake up to it because everybody did it and it was normal.
Yeah,
We all worked hard and partied hard. That's just the way it went. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, that's what we
Um,
have always been told. That's what life's about, you know?
right. And you realize, um, you're working hard at the wrong things while you're partying hard. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. So,
And you don't even recognize your losses when you're wrapped up in that shit. You don't even realize how far backwards you're going in life
yeah,
when you should be. Life to me, it's like happiness is measured by progression. Like, how are you progressing as a human being? How are you progressing financially? How are you progressing, you know, with your spirituality or whatever the case may be?
right.
And when you're drinking and using drugs, you never progress. You just kind of slide backwards slowly the
Yeah,
whole time you're doing it.
yeah,
And it's and take it from somebody who, you know, had shit going on. Like I said, when I was in school, when I was in high school, I had two vehicles. Not a lot of people in high school have two cars.
right.
When I was in high school, um, I had good grades, even though I didn't really apply myself. I had a ride to college. I could have went to college.
Yeah,
I did go to college, but I never took anything serious because it was always secondary to me.
right.
To me, drinking was more fun. Like when I went to college, I had good grades in college. I never went to class though. I sat in my room and I drank, or I got drunk and walked around, or I got drunk and went up to the mall or to go shopping. I never took it serious.
Yeah,
And my teachers would tell me, you probably have an A or a really high B if you just showed up for class once in a while.
right. If you
And I'm
actually
like,
applied yourself
I'm
a
like,
little,
yeah, but and I was like, yeah, but I got a low B or a C, and I don't even have to come to class. You see what I'm saying? Like I looked at it so ass backwards
yeah,
because I didn't care because it wasn't as important as drinking. The drinking came first, and all that shit came first. Like on the weekends, instead of me, focusing on my schoolwork and studying, I'm jetting home as soon as I can so I can go home and hang out and party with my friends.
right.
So it's just like, and then eventually I just said fuck it and dropped out because I didn't feel like doing it anymore. And it's like
You were too busy for
you
it.
try to, yeah, it's like you try to rationalize it, like there's some good reason why you're dropping out or why you're not
Right.
finishing, and it's like there is no good reason. You're just doing it because it's taking up too much of your time that you want to party. You don't want to focus. Over time. It starts to become too hard doing juggling both,
Yeah.
juggling your responsibilities and juggling a life of partying or getting fucked up. And eventually, you usually pick the other one. You
Yeah.
usually pick I'd rather party than get
One
fucked up.
takes over for sure. Yeah.
And then before you know it, I lose my license. I lose my freedom. I'm crashing cars.
Yeah.
I'm getting arrested all the time. It's like it. I mean, and I just don't see it. I just can't see it because I'm so busy drinking that I'm just not paying attention to how far backwards I've gone
Yeah.
and how much of a good start that I had. It's like it doesn't even matter. It's almost like I jumped out real far ahead just so I could afford to slide backwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just it's it's backwards. And then once you now it's like, I'm 29 and I'm hurrying up trying to play catch up because I wasted so much of my time fucking around when I should have been already doing all the shit I'm doing now.
Yeah. Yep. So, Joe, would you call your job that you have now your dream job?
Somewhat,
So I wanted,
not exactly.
well, I wanted to say to people that, but you're doing a job that you enjoy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to say to those who are watching, it takes time to build your life back up when you get into recovery. But Joe has been sober, like he said, it'll be 19 months and 6 days. And he's already found and working, actively working, maybe not his dream job, but definitely a job that he enjoys going to.
It's a close
It's a what?
it's a very close second. I mean, my dream job is to be a peer counselor or addiction counselor or own some sort of
Yeah.
recovery house, but there's a lot of legwork to be done in that department. So it's not like um I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So right now being a trainer is something that I working out's fun to me. I'm not one of those people that make myself go to the gym because I want to have a beach body or some shit like that. I don't care about none of that shit. I go to the gym because I enjoy it. It's therapy.
Yeah.
You can see your progression. It has real results, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That are tangible that you can see and feel, you know. And I like helping other people reach their goal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've always in my life I've always wanted a service type job that I enjoy where I can actually help others.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would say being an addiction counselor would be my number one
Well, and that's what I thought.
job that I would
That's what I was
like.
thinking. Yeah.
But there's give and take with all that, because if I like the fact of my job right now that I can pretty much make my own schedule.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things about the job, other than the fact that I like it. Um, so that's my only real hiccup with getting a recovery based job because technically it's a state job, so it's like um I'd have a real schedule. I'd have to go
Yeah.
Monday through Friday,
And when we
9
have
a.m. to 5.
and when we have a recovery house, it's gonna be like a 24-hour thing. Like we're gonna be like we'll have days that, to be like days of the office or whatever you want to call it, but we're gonna be basically on call 24/7. I mean,
And that part I don't mind. Like having a recovery house would probably be the number one
yeah.
thing that I want to do because then I'm in control. Um, I can run it how I think it should be ran, and I can help the people the way I think it should be done, and instead of going by the standards of the state or the standards by what somebody else tells me to do.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact I don't like having a boss for one, for two. Um I don't really like being watched over, Um,
Micromanaged, yeah.
and all my jobs I've been like that. If I ever got a job and I was left the fuck alone to just do my thing, I like that job.
Yeah.
I like jobs where, my boss helps me instead of blocks me or, just
Yeah.
watches over top of me.
Absolutely.
And any point in time where that became too much for me, I hit the door.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, I know what I'm doing, just leave me alone, let me do my thing. And the more and more my bosses got, pulled the chains in and,
Mhm.
kind of hovered over top of me more and more, you know, your days are numbered having me as an employee because I'm not gonna deal with that for too long.
Yeah.
So that's just me. It might be a hang up that I have, but it's just
But I feel like
I
it's a
don't know.
hindrance
It's
for
just
a lot of people, though. A lot of people, you know, I see there is a local restaurant in Greensboro, and the owner, I've never actually met him. They did donate to one of my events last year, which was really awesome. And he did say to me through their business page that, you know, him himself, he was in recovery. I think he had like 6 or 8 years. You know, he had some real clean time. And one of the people that he hired in his kitchen was actually someone who came through the work release program through the jail. And that said a lot to me because that means that he was willing to take a chance on the youth in our community. And he wanted to help this young man. He wanted to help him have a better life and help keep him on the straight and narrow. So that one was huge to me. But for two, he made this post earlier that, you know, their business, they had a meeting last night. And in this meeting, they talked about business goals and personal goals for everybody that works there. And that was huge to me because that never happens. Your employer doesn't care about your goals and your hopes and your dreams. And I just thought to myself, wow, if more employers were like this guy and his family and what they've built, think of how much happier people would be in life. Because how many people in this video hate to get up and punch that time clock every day? I know that I couldn't do it. I never lasted long doing that. I couldn't do it. So,
I mean, I've worked since I was 13 or 14, so I mean, for me, it wasn't a big deal. But as I got older, I just wanted more out of my life. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
I settled for so long in the restaurant business. I realized, and this is no knock on anybody that does it, but because I did it for most of my life, so it's
Yeah.
not. I mean, I'm not saying anything about it, but um, it's it's just really becomes a point where it's a job that never gives anything back to you.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
you're looked at you're looked at like you're replaceable.
Yep.
You're only as good as your most recent favor you've done for them.
Yeah.
Um, they they don't invest a lot of time or financial gains into any of their employees. It's like they just need to fill the spots. That's all they're
Yeah.
looking at.
Yep.
And if you fill the spot good and you show up when people call out and you do everything they ask, you're okay, but it doesn't get you anywhere. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
You work there 5 years to become a manager, and then when you become a manager, you get a bump in pay, but they put you on salary, and you're working
Twice as
50
hard.
fucking 60 hours a week.
Twice as much. Yeah.
So it's like it's just really a no-win type of job for me, and I just finally got to the point where like I don't want to be a manager because I don't feel like dealing with all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And as a employee, I'm only gonna go so far. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, and I just got tired of it because it's like I said, I just have a desire to do service work, like for people,
Yeah.
not just making people food.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I like to cook, don't get me wrong. I love to make food when you guys come over. It's usually not healthy food, but I enjoy doing it. But you know, I'm not slinging pizzas for the rest of my life, and I did that for a long time. So, but I'm gonna have to go because I have to pee really bad. So there's that.
All right.
So tomorrow is Friday. What is your schedule tomorrow? You're coming up here, right?
Yeah, early.
In the morning, early in the morning.
Yeah.
So do you want to go live before you go back home, or what are you thinking? Thoughts?
Clinton, just be patient, man. Just the busy work's good for you if you know if you're being clean and everything like that. You need a job, you need to stay busy, and you need to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm 29 and I'm just now working towards what I want to do in life. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
never too late. Just stay focused and take it one thing at a time. Focus on one thing at a time.
I mean, I have 8 years clean. I'll have 9 this year in August. And I would say probably the last year or two, I've really found what I want to do in life. So don't feel like you're not going to get there.
And if
Just
there's
figure
something
out
you
what
want to
you
do in
do.
life, if there's something you want to do in life, don't be afraid to take a gamble on yourself, take
Yeah.
a chance on yourself, because here's a fact right now. Here's a fact. And I had to tell myself and convince myself this and realize it myself. You can always find another fucking job.
Yeah.
If you go and chase your dream and you fail and you don't make it, you can always go get another job to pay your bills and support yourself.
Yeah.
That shit ain't never going nowhere. There's always going to be people hiring as long as there's a world.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
Absolutely. So tomorrow is an added gift. And we'll go live sometime tomorrow, hopefully together. We'll just have to figure out if we go before you go home or what the plan is. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Pinned to the top is our Breaking the Chains group that we have. It is just a recovery support group. Whether you're in recovery or not, or you have loved ones in recovery, it's a no judgment zone. Feel free to connect with others. If you have questions, if you feel like you're starting to isolate, reach out. You know, we've said many, many times, we're here, we're available. We don't want to read how you relapsed when you never reached out and asked for help, because we're here to help. So, anything I forgot, Joe?
Nah, it's good.
All right, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, y'all.